Mm.
So welcome everybody. We are here with myself, Kaye, or some people call me by my formal name, Kirsten, and Amanda, to talk to you about our upcoming cohort for 2022-2023 of the 300-hour trauma-informed facilitator training. I'm so excited. I mean, it feels like, I don't know, I just can't even describe how excited I am about this next cohort and year coming up for this training. There's a lot of shifts, but there's also a lot of things that are staying the same and a lot of stability within the training. So I'm excited to share the shifts and the sameness with you today.
And everything in between.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, Amanda here. What can I say? Yeah, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited to see how the last cohort has really grown and evolved and stayed so connected. And that just gives me so much more excitement for the cohort to come and the growth of this network and the support that we're seeing happen. So yeah, much like Kaye, yay, just all the excitement. So today we'll just kind of go through what it is, what it's all about, what you can expect, and we'll take any questions as well, anything that pops up. But yeah, Kaye, take it away.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Amanda. Yeah, it's interesting you bring up the last cohort because we just had our 3-month post-training check-in yesterday, and it was so wonderful to connect with people and see how things were landing and see how this training has really become foundational as they continue on with their education and other trainings that possibly we've suggested or they found. And so it was a really good conversation to kind of dovetail onto this information session to see how those people that were in last year kind of are utilizing the information from this training in their personal and professional lives. So that was really wonderful. But I guess I should probably talk a little bit about what exactly this is. And what we're doing. Yeah, so we have developed, Amanda and I have developed a 300-hour trauma-informed facilitator training. And this training is specifically designed to work on body-based practices that support mental health care. And mental health care could include people who are therapeutic professionals, yoga teachers, body workers, people that are working in humanitarian aid, professional services, educators. It goes across the board, business owners. I'm trying to think who else, first responders, right? We've had so many different people join these particular trainings that we've developed. And so we finally decided to sort of culminate all of the information that we have learned over the years and all of the modalities that we've been practicing ourselves in our own spaces within this training. So really what it is it's an opportunity to learn more about trauma, to learn more about how to facilitate safely in a trauma-informed way, to learn how to use the body as a way to facilitate for trauma healing and restoration, and how to use our own beings and our own offerings as a catalyst for social justice and systemic change. So all of these things are brought forward in this training. It's broken up into 3 modules. We have 3 100-hour modules. So you can do the modules individually if you'd like, but we always encourage people to, join the whole 300, because it really is a community building experience as well. We're keeping it at 20 people, about 20 people. So it's an intimate learning experience, and we do that on purpose. We want you to get to know us. We want you to get to know our guest facilitators, which I'll go into in a few minutes. And we want you to get to know each other. And this will also give you an opportunity to get to know the past cohorts. So these people that have taken the training might be coming in sort of as you're learning through our gatherings and things like that. So it's really also about community building. But general overhaul, what did I forget, Amanda, in general? Before I go into different modules.
I think general, yeah, I think you've hit on the essence of what this really is, and just thinking about how it's so much more than simply a movement-based offering. It's more than yoga, it's more than movement, it's more than somatics. What this training does, or the platform that it rests on, is really about turning this into a lifestyle and really allowing it to kind of place its roots within your soul, kind of thing. Hey, like it really does allow for a practice of reflection, a practice of where do I locate myself within this work? And how is it that I really get to know and understand who I am through this process to then hold space for others? And I think that's probably one of my favorite aspects of it, is that it really brings us back to self first and foremost in such a beautiful way. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that, Amanda. Absolutely. So it's not only a process of figuring out, right, and offering tools and methods and interventions on how you can hold space for others, but it really is also learning more about how you can hold space for yourself doing this work, which is trauma-informed work is a lifestyle. It's definitely a way that we want to continue to support, and that support can look so different, and then so it can be so many different ways. So yeah, thank you for bringing that forward. We have 3 modules. We've broken the training up into 3 modules. And the first module focuses in on trauma, accessibility, and diversity. And it really has to do with building a trauma-informed toolkit. So how do you understand trauma, right? How do we understand trauma biologically, physiologically? So we'll go into that. We go into actually understanding how trauma can affect us emotionally, how it also can affect our relationships with self and others. And we branch out from there. So there's a little bit of anatomy in there. And also we have information about how can we make our spaces and the places that we're actually working and living in and being a part of community more accessible. And not only more accessible, but braver. And how can we encourage curiosity and encourage empowerment and nurture resilience? And so doing all of these things within whatever modalities you already are using and whatever environment you're already in and whatever community you're already serving, and right, plus on top of that. So we go into accessibility, not only accessibility of movement, we talk a lot about bio-individuality, why some things may or may not be working in somebody's body, and why we need to adjust and how we can make those adjustments safely, equitably, and with a conscious mind and heart. And then we also will talk about diversity. We have 4 amazing guest facilitators that will be coming in for that one module, which is really exciting. And they'll be talking about the gunas and how those are related to trauma-informed work. We'll be working with Dante, who works with people who have challenges when it comes to cognitive and physical experiences in life, and how can we be more diverse and inclusive and not have able-bodied discrimination within our spaces, actually eliminate that. What else do we have coming up in that module? It's a full module. So we talk a lot about understanding trauma, how we define it, how trauma settles and lives in the body and the brain, the nervous system, all of those things. So that's module 1. Module 2 is embodied practices, so somatic based tools for support of mental health care. And in this module, we kind of go beyond. We go beyond the scope of movement. We really get into other embodied based practices that can support whatever it is we're doing. And this might include dance. We have a wonderful guest facilitator coming in to talk about dance as medicine. We also have a Qigong master coming in from India. We have talks about our threat response cycle, understanding how we react to certain experiences in life, and how that's important to close that circle in order to be able to live from a place of calm awareness in our nervous system rather than constantly in fight or flight. How do we do that? And also, how do we support and facilitate that? We also have talks in that particular module about titration and pendulation. How can we allow the widening of the window of tolerance in our nervous system through this idea of glimmers of calm, reminding our nervous systems what calm feels like, and then offering a little bit of discomfort for a sense of curiosity and swinging back into calm. So really starting to get into the details and the subtle work of what embodiment really is. And we talk about embodiment, disembodiment, and re-embodiment, and how we do that safely. Embodiment's kind of a buzzword right now. And, you know, sometimes the body is not a safe place. So how do we start to introduce embodiment in a safe and non-re-traumatizing way? So we talk about all of this in module 2. And then module 3, we really focus in on our social justice and systemic change, the body as a catalyst for equity, and using what it is we're doing to not only shift and change possibly ourselves to support that growth, to help and shift and support growth for others, but also within community, within systems, within this umbrella that's bigger than us, right? That we can start to sort of find spaces and places where we can be that catalyst for change and that catalyst for equity. And we have some really, really lovely guest facilitators coming in for that. We have people that are going to be talking about intrinsic bias, cultural appropriation, yeah, just so many different things. So that's sort of an overview, general overview of the different modules. What am I forgetting?
I like every time we talk about this, I always hear something new. Like even though we're so submersed in it and we're so in that space of like facilitating and holding it, but I think just hearing that idea of like just really focusing on that idea of titration and pendulation is so powerful, because I think in this work sometimes what you were saying around that disembodiment and embodiment can be such a challenge. We often hold space for the idea that embodiment is this wonderful, beautiful, easy breezy thing where it's like, oh, if everyone were just embodied. And it's like, and to be embodied means to hold space for the discomfort as well. So yeah, I love that you touched on all of those elements, that it's just so much more than not only understanding trauma, but it's the nuances of it, right? It's all the stuff that weaves it together too. And yeah, I think I had glitched a little bit there, so I missed some of that beginning bit, but just how it's all woven together too is very intentional. So you'll hear us revisit certain themes throughout the entire thing. So we'll continue to come back to that idea of self. We'll continue to come back to or start to plant the seeds of systemic and structural change, and how that can sound so big and doable, right? Like it's a thing that we can actually start to work towards. So you'll hear all of these themes woven throughout, so that by the end of those 300 hours together, you have this real visceral sense, this embodied sense of what it means to walk alongside people and what it means to hold space for yourself and others. And I think that's the biggest thing that always excites me, is how interconnected it all is.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing all that forward again, Amanda. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it is to me. It just gets more and more exciting as we sort of talk about it again, right? Like we kind of closed our last cohort in May, and then we're going to be starting this training October 17th of 2022. And you know, but it doesn't end, which is actually this really beautiful cycle that I am continuing to learn from the participants from last cohort, and also from our guest facilitators. We have some new ones that are coming in. I mean, every single time I talk to them, I'm like, oh yeah, can we bring that up? Like it's, you know, it's just growing and growing. So there's so much, so much information that we hope to share within these 300 hours and beyond.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think the other really cool thing is that you've got us two who I'll speak for you because I know this is true for both of us. We're perpetual students. So we're always reading and exploring and making sure that we're up to date, well, as up to date as you can be within science and all of these spaces that we're occupying. But we're also staying up to date with what's happening in the world too. And we're staying really mindful and present of just kind of the global climate and the things that are occurring. So we will have those conversations too. Like we do want this to be as relatable and instantaneously transferable as possible. Like, how is it that you start walking in these shoes the moment we meet, the moment we come together? How do we start putting this practice into place? So I was just thinking about, like, as you said, talking to the guest facilitators, I was just thinking about a conversation I had with one who will be doing the dance as medicine. And there's things happening here in Aotearoa, New Zealand right now where she's so powerfully speaking to it. And she's like, can I bring this forward on the training? I was like, yes, that's exactly what this is. Like, yes, this is what we want to be doing. It doesn't have to stay the same as last time. It gets to be organic and in the moment. So I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you for bringing that up too, because I think that also kind of, I'm going to sort of segue into sort of the setup of the training, because this really comes into the community and the gatherings that we have that are part of this training. I would say we built this training around the idea of building a community of trauma-informed practitioners and facilitators, but people who are like-minded in the sense, and I say that very carefully, but people who are looking for those spaces and places in order to have these conversations and to really consider what can be done, what is being done, what's shifting and changing, where is the support needed, all these things, because that changes and that shifts and changes, right, as the needs of the world continue to be defined over and over and over again. And so, yeah, so I'll go in a little bit about kind of the dates and those types of things that we have for just information purposes, because it's easy for me to get off on a tangent of exactly what you just talked about, and I don't want to do that. So, this year, we're beginning on October 17th. We are adding a week to each module. So originally the modules were 8 weeks. Through careful information that was given to us by the other participants from the cohort, they had asked us if we could have more time and space for practice amongst each other. And so we've added in a 9th week at the end of each module to include more practice, more time with each other, more time to actually get used to and get comfortable with and find your own voice within these practices. And so we've added that practitioner week at the end. We've also added a week in between. So we had 2 weeks before. We've added 3 weeks, 3-week breaks between each module. People wanted more time for the information to land, because 300 hours is a lot of information. And also we're dealing with trauma, right? So we're talking about things that many rabbit holes of research and curiosity start to open up for people within these topics. And so we want to give a little bit more space in between in order to offer time for people to do a little bit of relaxation, right? A little bit of downtime, but also dive into some of those rabbit holes, and they can, so that they can just explore and sort of find more of their own path within this training. So module 1 starts October 17th, goes until December 18th. So obviously nice break over the holidays for those of us that celebrate those particular holidays. And then we begin again in January. So I think it's January 8th. Might be the 9th. I can't remember now. I have to look at my calendar. And it goes until March 12th. So we have those 9 weeks in the, sort of January, February timeframe. And then module 3 starts April 3rd and ends on June 4th. So, going from October to June during this training. And the schedule that we have right now is that we found that people, since it is an online training, we have 2 lecture sessions a week, and those are 2 different lectures. We have session 1 and session 2, and each session or lecture section is 2 hours. So you're basically in 4 hours of lecture a week, and then on top of your homework, each week you'll have a community practice as well that's offered by either Amanda or myself or the guest facilitator. So you're going to get a slew of amazing practices that you can do either during the time frame that it's given, and those will rotate every week depending on who's giving it, or you can watch the recording and do those, because the personal practice of this time in this training is really important as well. And we also want to give you the opportunity to learn as much and as many voices within this type of work as you can. So that's why we have our guest facilitators offer those practices as well once a week. So you have your 2 lectures at 2 hours each, so 4 hours. Usually community practice per week is between an hour to an hour and a half. And then every few weeks, I know there's 2, we have 2 community gatherings that happen online. So these are spaces that we can come together, chat. They're very informal, talk about things, see what's coming up, what's landing, what's not landing, what's happening in the world today, what's happening in the training, what's happening outside. And those are great opportunities for us to get to know each other and also to discuss exactly what Amanda just talked about, right? What's happening right now? How are we being present with what's going on within this work and trauma-informed work? And then you also have check-ins with Amanda and I. So you'll be put into pods every module, either with my pod or Amanda's pod. And those are opportunities for you to have one-on-one time with us. And so all of that happens during this training, which are some of my favorite things because I get to know everybody a little bit better. And we talk about, again, what's working, what's not working, what's landing, more that you want, what we can help you with, how we can be supportive, and all of those things. So that's the general kind of way this training works. You will have homework. So homework could include watching videos, doing some reading, articles, listening to podcasts. We have all those things for you. And also a personal journal that you have as you practice during and throughout this training. And then some write-ups on that. Maybe doing actual written and hand-in homework is included as well, but not getting too bogged down by that. It's really an opportunity for you to explore and think through some of the things that we work through every week. The schedule right now is that your first session per week will either be Wednesday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. This is all Auckland, New Zealand time. And again, you can convert, or Thursday mornings from 7 to 9 a.m. So each session will be recorded. I know for some people in certain time zones that that 7 to 9 p.m. Space on Wednesday nights is like, that's the middle of your night. So obviously you would catch up with the recording for that particular session. And then the second session per week doesn't change. It will be Sunday mornings, New Zealand time, from 7, I think it's 7 to 9 a.m. on Sunday mornings. And again, that's sometime in the afternoon on Saturdays for people in North America and Europe, and Africa as well. So kind of afternoon, evening on Saturdays, mornings on Sundays for those of you that are in New Zealand and Australia. So I think that's the schedule we have. And like I said, that first session kind of rotates a little bit. So you might catch some of them, depending on your time zone. You might have to watch the recording, and that weekend session, hopefully you'll be able to make live. We're trying to make that as accessible as possible for people who are working as well. What did I miss?
Nothing.
Okay.
Maybe something, but nothing I can think of.
That's all I can think of. Yeah. What else? We have 3 tiers of pricing. So again, no questions asked. And it really comes down to what you're able to do within those 3 tiers of pricing. I don't have them in front of me right now, but you can look all of this information up on the registration website, which I will put into, or Amanda, do you want to put that in the chat? That would be awesome. And so the 3 tiers of pricing, and we haven't talked about this yet. So, but might be able to give a discount to those of you that have done any other training with us. So either Amanda's yin training or our other 20-hour training that we have offered over the course of time. So we're hoping that this year we might be able to give a small discount for those of you that have been with us for a while, because we want to thank you for that. So we'll discuss and get back to you. We haven't talked about that yet. We're still kind of figuring that out, but we will discuss and get back to you about that. And hopefully that will be possible. We also have limited scholarships available. The scholarship deadline is September 12th. And so please, if you're interested in applying for a scholarship, do so. There is a link that we can also put in. Are you able to find that a minute? Thank you. Put that in the chat. And you can apply for that scholarship. Just make sure you tick the 300-hour scholarship. The first question that's asked is which scholarship, because there's a few on there. Just make sure you tick the correct one and go ahead and apply for a scholarship. You know, we have limited availability for that, but it's an opportunity. And if you are not awarded a scholarship, that doesn't mean you can't attend the training. It just means that we can also set up a payment plan with you, which we have done. So not a problem at all. We really want to try and make this as accessible as possible, because it is so important. This work is so important. This information is so important. And personally, I think it should be included in any training that anybody ever gives, but it's not. So we're doing it. What else? Trying to think. Like I said, we are limiting our signups to 20 individuals right now. Again, this is because Amanda and I spend so much time with you, and also our guest facilitators. And we want these discussions and cohorts to be places where people can actually get to know one another. And we found that that's just a really nice group and number of people to have online, and also for those people who are really, really committed to this work. And so, yep, we're holding at about 20. So just know that that's kind of our capacity limitation, because there's a lot involved in this particular training, and we're very proud of that. So yeah, definitely consider that as you're considering whether you want to sign up. I think it's a 600 New Zealand dollar deposit if you want to hold your space. If you're, if you're kind of like, well, I need to kind of figure this out, we can hold your space, but also talk to us, email Amanda or email myself, and we can put those emails in the chat as well. And go ahead and give us an email and let us know what you're thinking, what your capacity is, if you need to set up a payment plan, if you're like totally in, but don't have the $600 right now, then we can figure it out and make sure that your space is held for you and that you're with us on the next journey. Yeah. So
yeah, I think that's one thing that people will learn about us. Hey, like, we keep things pretty chill. Like, we'll work with you. We'll figure it out. And there's always a way. There's always a way to make these things happen. So yeah, don't get caught up in the structure of it all. We're very much here we're doing this Mahi alongside you. We're doing this work right along with you. So we'll make things happen as we do. So just ask. We'll have a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. What else? Trying to think basic questions that usually come up. There is a certificate of completion at the end. We are currently, it does qualify for continuing education hours with Yoga Alliance at this moment, but we are in the process. And again, it's almost August. And so we're, coming into October. So we are trying to look ahead a little bit, but we are in the process of the application for the 300-hour RYT from Yoga Alliance. So we're in the process of that. We're crossing our fingers that that's going to happen for this cohort. And obviously, the way that it seems to be working right now is that even past cohorts will get that certification once we get everything together, because the curriculum is 300 hours and it all fulfills everything that it needs to fulfill. So if you're watching this, or if you heard about this and you were in the cohort last year, don't worry, you would be included in that. And also so we'll just leave it at that. Also certification with yoga professionals, international. So that's also something that we're pursuing. So know that we are pursuing, while the certification is coming from us, and you do get, you know, a certificate of completion, we are pursuing other avenues to ensure that this is something that is recognized by greater entities. And we're trying to find our allies in that. So it's a process. So kind of bear with us as we do that, and we'll keep you posted as that happens. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What else? I think that's everything.
Yeah, I think for right now it is. Like I said, I'm trying to think anything else immediate, but, and any questions that are coming out from anybody here, you can pop them into the chat if you'd like, or you can unmute to ask either way. So we'll kind of leave a little bit of space for, you know, questions that maybe we haven't answered and we didn't think of. And I know as people are thinking of questions, I know last year we did have quite a few questions about attendance. And so obviously, right, we would love you to be able to attend every single session and every single module. But we know that that's also not possible. Life is a 4-letter word sometimes. So things happen. And also we're working along multiple time zones. We had people across the globe in last year's cohort. And so we were able to sort of provide as much as we could when it came to offering the sessions at relatively universal times that most people could join, but also we know that that's not going to be always possible. So know that those recordings will go up immediately, and that you will be able to watch the recordings and stay kind of stay in stride with everybody. But we still would love to see your face, and we, you know, we really want you to be a part of these discussions and part of these practice sessions, because this is where the real work starts to get really interesting, and it starts to actually integrate and culminate into something that is a skill set. And just to keep that in mind. So again, understandably, we know that some people won't be able to make all the sessions, but that's okay. We can work with you and figure out how we can support you in that. And also know that, yeah, we will have you under our collective and protective wing during the entire time, and probably beyond, in the best way and capacity that we can as things come up. Yeah, question in the chat.
Yeah. So you can absolutely, there's just a question about whether, if you've done the 100-hour yin with myself, the trauma-informed approach to yin yoga, if this would then equate to a 400-hour. Yeah, absolutely. So you can log those 100 hours and then add that with the 300 and culminate and add up to that. Yeah, absolutely. Great question. That's all that's in my brain right now.
I know, me too. I can't think of any other information. I'm kind of like, in my head, I'm scrolling through the website, right? And I'm like, okay, what's in there?
Or like email questions that we've had.
Yeah. Yep. I can speak a little bit about the guest facilitators, if just to kind of give a general information. I think right now, I know we have 12. I think, yeah, we've got 12. So those are interspersed throughout the different modules. And so anywhere between, you know, 4 to 6 guest facilitators in each module, depending on what the topic is and what's going on. We have people that are coming in from all walks of somatic life, and also all over the world. We have people coming in from California, Portugal, New Zealand. Where else do we have guest facilitators from? The East Coast, Chicago, you know, people who have been working, DC, India, people that have been working in these modalities for a really long time. And we're so honored and blessed to have their voice and their wisdom in this training. And the Philippines, as I'm like scrolling through, I'm thinking, as providers of information and support and sort of what they do and how they do it, because there's so many different approaches that we really offer up in this training, because it's really about finding your own voice. It's really about figuring out what resonates with you, which practices you want to take forward, and how you want to present and offer those within your community, for yourself, and for those others that you serve in a trauma-informed way. So hopefully that makes sense. And we'll have more information coming about those people that are joining us in our Instagram posts. There's going to be little highlights of everybody, and also probably in our next session we'll talk a little bit more about those individuals. But know that it's not just mine and Amanda's voice, it's also many voices coming together to offer this information and wisdom, and it's shifting and changing. So it's really exciting. You know, like Amanda said, the information will be up to date as much as we can make it, and it will be relevant to what's going on right now. So also really important to know. And I know there was another question in the chat. Let me see. Meeting all the time, the different time zones requirements. Aha. So I think I understand what you're asking is, so for example, if you're, you know, in New Zealand, all of the time zones will work for you. So, or all of the times will work. I mean, and I say they'll work for you, but they're not times when you will be, it's not the middle of your night. Let me put it that way. So it won't be the middle of your night. Again, Wednesdays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. or Thursdays, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. And those are going to be the same session. So you just attend one of those. And so some weeks it'll be given on Wednesdays. And if you can make the Wednesday evening, great. Some weeks they'll be given on Thursdays. If you can make the Thursday mornings, great. If you can't make either one of those, or if it doesn't work out with your schedule, watch the recording. And then Sundays is from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. And again, that's New Zealand time. So again, some weeks you might be able to make both. Some weeks you might be able to make none. And so the requirements really come down to, it starts to become more personal, if that makes sense. I mean, yes, we want people to try and show up as much as they possibly can. And technically on the website, it says 70%. And for some people, it's not possible. Like, it's just not possible. So we understand that, but also knowing this is one of the reasons we're keeping the cohorts at 20 people per year, is because we want to make sure that you're still in, right? We want to make sure that you're still engaged, and whatever that might look like, whether it's making it to each recording or making the ones that you can, or having to miss a week or two, we want to make sure that you're getting the information as it's coming, so it doesn't become overwhelming. So it's becoming more of a personal requirement. And by personal, I mean, we can talk to you about it. If life starts to get in the way, then these are things that we can address as they're coming. Yeah, but with the intention to try and make as many meetings as possible, as many of the sessions as possible. Does that answer your question? I don't even know if that was exactly what you were seeking out. I'm sorry. Okay, great. Okay, yay. Okay, good. Yeah, perfect. Yep, awesome. And it really is about kind of staying on top of the information, because it can become a lot. And this is one of the reasons that we've also given more space in between for people that kind of have to do a little bit of makeup, do a little bit of catch up, right? And we leave space for that, for people that need it, and knowing that that can be definitely a part of this experience for you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think the other thing that was mentioned from this last cohort was how much they enjoyed the fact that we give personalized reflections to the homework. So within that, it's not just something that you hand in. Like, Kaye and I spend time and effort with each one of your homework reflections, and we really, again, start to go down that more personalized path within it. And that's why we split into pods. So it's manageable for Kaye and I within that smaller cohort to actually be able to say, like, I see you in this, and I see how this wisdom is starting to kind of cultivate in its own way within you and start to kind of personalize it down the path that you want to take it. So if you have a certain population in mind, or there's certain type of mahi or work that you want to be doing, that's really your time to say like, okay, this is what I'm seeing and this is where I want to take it. And then you've got Kaye, myself, the guests, the rest of the group to actually help guide towards that, which I think is also amazing. I think that was a really cool kind of reflection back from the last group, saying, I can't believe how tangible it is. Like I actually get to see it in action and I don't have to wonder what if or what's next or now what when it's done. So just wanted to throw that in there as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. And yeah, and that is one of my other favorite parts about this training is actually like diving in with people, as they're sort of turning in their work and reflecting and really engaging and considering all the possibilities that this can really hold. Um, and I will bring forward one of the things that was mentioned too by one of the past participants. So she finished this training. We all finished in May, and then I think it was in June, she went to a training that was actually with a mentor of mine that I mentioned in the training. That she's not a facilitator with us, but she's a mentor of mine in dance therapy. And she went to one of her intensives in Europe for, I think it was a 2 or 3 day workshop. And she was in there with a lot of people that have been doing this work for a really long time. And, she considers herself kind of a novice. And she realized that she really felt that everything in this really intense kind of weekend workshop that was very specific, very intellectual, people that had been doing this work for a really long time, she felt she had the foundation to engage. And she was so thrilled because she's like, I got that from this 300-hour training. I got this foundation to know that I'm like, I know what that is. I know what they're talking about. And now I can actually start to express, myself and how this is affecting my work and what other possibilities there are. And the research and the information she was getting from that training landed so much more comfortably, she said, because of the foundation that she got from our 300-hour. And I was like, yay. Yeah, it was just such a great affirmation that this really is a continuing experience, but that's our hope, that's our intention, is to offer a good solid foundation and develop your own voice within this work so that you can continue on and feel confident and know that you got this, right? And we've got you, and everything in between. So yeah, that was really, really insightful.
So good.
Any other thoughts or questions before we kind of wrap up?
That's it from me.
That's all I got too. But if anybody has any additional questions, make sure, you can go ahead and email. You can email Amanda or myself. I didn't put my email in here. Let me do that really quickly. And yeah, let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what you need. Let us know how we can support you in making this decision to join us, because we would absolutely love for each of you to be a part of this with us coming up in October, and for this next round, this next year. And again, pretty, like Amanda said, pretty chill. So if you really need some assistance, support, whatever it is, and like really aren't understanding something, just let us know and we'll try and describe it the best that we can. Yeah, and figure things out. It's all about being, and you'll hear me say this a lot, a vessel of creative solutions, right? We are vessels of creative solutions. And this is what this training does, is it makes space for that. Okay. So anything else, Amanda?
No, nothing on my end. I'm just so excited. Like, I know this time is going to fly by, and I can't wait. Like, I love it. I love it. So good.
I'm
Mm,
excited. I'm excited
mhm,
too. So wonderful. Well, thank
mm,
you for joining us. And again, feel free to contact us if you need anything else. We'll be looking forward to hearing from each of you.
mm.
And yeah, we'll be having another one of these in September, I think. I can't remember the date, but we'll keep everybody informed in case we have new information coming out. And make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Facebook. I'll put my Instagram in here as well. And so that you have that, if I can spell it. Sometimes I type it out and I'm like, oh, that was wrong. But Instagram on my end is usually the best way to get information that's coming out to the minute. So kind of keep that in mind, and yeah, look for more information as it comes. So,
Mm,
and
mm.
sign up.
Yeah,
Reserve
come
your,
along.
yeah, just come along, sign up. We'll figure it out later.
We got this.
Yep, exactly.
Awesome. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Amanda.
Mm.